Welcome, everyone. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about men's coaching and training. And we get into an invigorating conversation today with my guest because we are talking about men's coaching. If you know anything about the podcast, you've been around for a little bit. I love speaking with other men who are just strong on their mission for purpose and helping other men flourish. We are almost at a divide, or we're almost at a minority when it comes to men helping other men grow, because it's almost like, I don't want to help you grow because then it's going to take from me, or you're going to be ahead of me. And then now there's a competition aspect there. However, men should not just look at other men as competition, but how can maybe you help me build, I help you build. One of these stories I think about when I think about what I just said is Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, and Michael Jordan. When Kobe Bryant was coming up and he was a young guy, he looked at Michael and he was like, "Hey, Michael, how do you do this? What would you do in this situation?" He was trying to get the wisdom. He understood something about the relationship between Michael and himself. He wasn't afraid to say, even though you're my competitor or my rival, it doesn't mean that you can't also be my friend. It doesn't mean that you can't also be someone in my life that helps build me up. Today, that type of competition is seen that as you're my enemy, I can't be associated with you. And that is causing a divide in the masculine neighborhood, right? Men are not showing up. Men are not confiding in other men. Men are trying to be these lone warriors. When you're trying to build something by yourself, it just takes a lot longer. Think of it as building a house. You can build a house by yourself, but how long is it going to take? It might take you 3 years versus if you had a group of men, bunch of friends, right, saying, "Hey, let's build this." It might take you a couple months, maybe, depending on how many guys and depending on the skill level between everybody. Because even if you had one person in that group that knew how to build a house and everyone didn't know how to build a house, that person can say, "Hey, we have to do this, we have to do that." Versus today, it's just like, "All right, you do this and I'll do this, and divided we conquer." There is an aspect to that when everyone focuses on what they're good at, what they're great at, but again, they still need some assistance, they still need some help. Because even though I'm great at something, it can take me a long time to do something. It's better if I just help people or taught people, "Hey, this is how you do it. Help me, and then I'll help you. And you teach me what I need to know." This is a foreign concept in our society today. And today we're going to be talking about the aspect of men, the mindset of men, what men need to do in their life, in their relationships, and so much more, because this conversation is going to get into a mindset of where men should reside in. Now, I'm not saying that every male is going to want to be in this type of mentality, because again, we're talking about family, we're talking about purpose and mission, and maybe you're someone who doesn't want to have a family, or you don't want to have a mission in life. You simply want to just kind of go where the world takes you. Think of like a surfer dude. I just want to be a surfer and travel the world. Cool, you could be a free soul and you can do that. But most men are looking for some purpose. They're looking for a mission. This is going to be the episode for you, because not only are we going to be telling you what you need to do in your life, we're going to be giving you some secrets, some top tips, questions to ask yourself that when you do, you're going to start to question, are you doing everything in your power today? And if you're not, let's make a change. So let's get into that interview with Jeremy and myself. Welcome, Jeremy Murphy, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for coming on. Today, I have you on as a trainer and men's coach. We're going to be talking about your work, a little bit about your history, and then getting into your mindset, because I know you have done some amazing things in your life. And what has led you up to your life today is going to be a story that must be told, because we have to let other men know it might not be a simple path. It might not be an easy path, but the end result can be something good. In your own words, can you tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show. And I'm excited to be able to be here and share my story and share some of my thoughts. I'm Chairman Murphy. I operate in Northern California. I'm a personal trainer, also a former professional MMA fighter turned kickboxing coach, as well as a men's empowerment coach. Primarily, the way that I help people is I help people reconnect with their bodies so that they can re-enliven their spirit and build a sense of resiliency, self-worth, and self-confidence, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's the way I put it.
You say you help people reconnect with their bodies. What caused the disconnect in the first place?
That is a fantastic question. So I have this theory. I don't know how right or wrong it is, but I have this theory that personal trainers are potentially better therapists than therapists. and the reason is because of the work I've been doing. I've been doing personal training for over 10 years. And I have a lot of peers that have been working either alongside me or somewhere around near me as well. And we have some similar stories. Obviously, we don't share anything personal. We just have people that we've worked with that have a lot of things going on in their life that they'll be willing to share with us, right? At first, I thought it was just kind of like just something that happens. It's like whatever. Mm-hmm. But over time, I started thinking that maybe there's something to this. And as I started paying a little more attention, it occurred to me that I believe part of the reason that people feel ready to open up to a personal trainer, provided they feel like they're in a safe space, is because, first of all, they're getting a one-on-one connection that a lot of people don't actually get outside of their own husbands and wives, if that, which that's a whole other issue. So you get a one-on-one connection. They get to do something that fills them with endorphins, good feelings, but also they get perspective. The conclusion I've come to is when you get a person moving, it allows them to open up other areas of their bodies, minds, hearts, and spirits. So as you get a person to open up in terms of being able to open up, connect with their core, connect with their biceps, learn where their lats are. Part of physical fitness is teaching people about their body, what's what, how do you get it to activate it, how do you get to turn things on, how do you get to turn things off. But that starts to translate into areas in their mentality and areas even in their spirituality. I'm not very connected with my parents, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because of this and this and this. I don't feel that connected with my spouse, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because this and this and this, right? It starts to open up the conversation for other things, other places where there are blockages. And it's not that personal trainers have obviously we don't have therapy training, but we have an opportunity to offer some suggestions or even just listen to people that are stuck in certain and other areas of their life.
When it comes to therapy has a place, but then it doesn't have a place also. So when we look at training, helping people reconnect, therapy is going to be a step behind training, life coaching, mindset coaching, the same thing. We have to look at what does the person need or what they're aiming at. Do they want to look back at their history and find peace with it? Or do they want to change their, I guess you can say, their destiny or their future? Most people, they're not happy in their current situation, so they want to change it. Therapy doesn't necessarily help you change it. It helps you become at peace with what has happened so you can begin to move on in your life. Most people who come to me for work, they will work with me in conjunction with a therapist. So they will look back at the emotional aspect, but then I'm looking at, okay, well, let's get the results. And training is that, like, how can we get the results? It's something that we can physically see. We look in the mirror 6 months after working with a trainer. We're like, whoa, I look good. Biceps a little bit bigger, shoulders a little bit, broader, chest is a little bit more buff. And now I'm feeling more confident. Therapy is not going to give you that confidence immediately. You're going to have to be in therapy 2-3 years, maybe, just to feel better versus training. In 3 months, you're going to feel like a new person. You have to ask yourself, therapy or coaching? Either or, you're going to get something. It's just one's a little bit more a longer approach, fixing some of the traumas that you just kind of threw in a corner. But today we're going to be looking at the training aspect, because I think a lot of people, even though they have these traumas in their life, especially men, they just kind of toss them away. We're just going to handle it as we go. And then we move on, because I'm sure you probably heard about this. Men, we don't talk about our feelings. We're supposed to lock it down, keep shut up about it, move on. But I have found the best way is to confide in other men, not so much of going to talk to a woman saying, hey, this is my emotions. They can't handle us. And that is why when I find a men's coach like yourself, a trainer like yourself, I can say, okay, there's still hope for society, because we have another gentleman who has showed up in his life, and now he can help men reconnect with their true identity.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm here to do. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I will say I have to piggyback on that because that's a huge point. And I'm sure you have a lot of viewers, and I'm sure not all of them will feel super excited about hearing this. But fortunately, in my experience, and the experience of people that I've worked with, and even friends and family, is true. So it's true, but I do want to put a caveat on it. It's true that men run a major, major risk when you share your deepest emotions with your woman. You're running the risk, right? For two major reasons, as I can see it. Reason number one is she's there to feel safe with you. If she's there to feel safe with you, you're the provider, you're the protector. If you break down, it's like if you're living in a dome and the dome breaks down and we're in a hurricane, it's like, where do I go now? Like, what do I do? You're the dome. You are, well, who is she protecting? And the kids and whatever else as well, right? You are the protector. You are the dome. Dome breaks down, everybody starts freaking out. It's going to be hard in most cases that I've seen. It's going to be hard for her to trust you again. Once that happens, it creates this kind of like a little bit of a rift, and it's going to be hard for her to get back there. And men may not even recognize, like, oh, I broke down, sorry, I get myself back there. But in her mind, she's like, I don't know about this guy anymore, right? That's number one. That's my experience. Number two is some women, when they get upset, they'll remember that and they'll throw it back at you. I experienced that too. It's not awesome. This is not every woman. This is not every situation. There tends to be women that aren't healed or are not as healed as they could be. But still, there's a risk nonetheless. So I agree with you. Men have to be very mindful of what they share with their woman. You have to remember that they're the dome. And when they need reinforcement, they should go to other men. I agree with you 1,000%.
And don't worry about what you say. Here, we are politically correct as much as we can be. There is no filter. You can say exactly what you want, how you feel. And I have already said that on the podcast, to be honest, because it is so true. Because we want the truth. We want reality. We are not trying to sugarcoat things for people to make them feel better. It's like, oh, it's okay if he cries in front of you. Oh, it's okay if he doesn't show up and he can't pay the bills. Oh, you should just accept him the way he is. There is some validity behind it. But today, most men are just choosing to be weak because it is an option. I'm not about promoting weak men. If you come on and you want to have a weak mindset, I'm going to call it out. If you go to come on and you're going to start spouting nonsense, I'm going to call it out. But you're just speaking the truth. And this is the true reality of men. This is how men think. There's a whole book, like how women think. And there's another book, how men think. They didn't put it in the same book because it's two different books. It's two different minds. And when we are looking at a man trying to show up in their life, if you're a woman and you want your man to show up, you have to do what he needs to flourish. If you're bickering at him, if you're yelling at him, if you're belittling him, if you're not respecting him, he's not going to show up. No matter how much you think in your mind you're pushing him, it's just not going to work. However, if you see your man and he's struggling and he just is not doing well, instead of belittling the man, help the man. You know what? I'm not going to talk to you about this. I know a really good guy. I know Jeremy. I know Michael. Call them, right? They could talk to you for 30 minutes, I'm sure, discovery session. Get that going. Figure out what's going on in your life. I can't handle it. I don't know how to handle your problems. I don't know what's going in your mind. And this is the disconnect, because people think, oh, marriage, my best friend. Oh, yes. I'm going to speak about everything, tell them all about myself. Yes and no. Okay. As you said, you can for some women, but it's far and few between. I mean, we look at the divorce rates, 50% of marriages. I think it's a little bit down more because people are not getting married. It's like 45% around there now get a divorce. And then out of those people, 70% of them are women who are initiating the divorce. And one of the main reasons is because they're not happy. And so what we have to do is we have to look at the statistics and we have to say, why is this happening? Do you believe it's happening because men are not showing up, or because women don't know how to handle a relationship?
That's a great question. That's a heavy question, but I'm going to say my philosophy is, at the end of the day, the society as a whole, relationships in particular, at the end of the day, it does fall on the man to be what a man is supposed to be. That said, I'm not saying that every relationship that falls apart is a man's fault per se. What I'm saying is it's really up to him to be able to do the things necessary to hold it together. It's up to him primarily. Now, it's also not to say that women have no accountability, no responsibility at all. You cannot have a healthy, thriving relationship with a woman who's unable or unwilling to be accountable her actions, her thoughts, her words is impossible. I've tried it. I know. It's impossible. So both have a responsibility, but the man has the greater responsibility because again, he's the dome. But that said, a lot of us, I believe my generation was the first, or I should say our generation, I believe. But you look really young, so you may not be the same age as me. But around our generation, let's say, was one of the first generations where, as it seems to me, what was required to be a man, that information was, that memo was not sent down to us. Something happened in our generation, our span. And I think the same thing for women. What femininity is was not downloaded to many of them. What masculinity is was not downloaded to a lot of us. So we're out here trying to figure it out. And then on top of that, we run into a moment in society where we're being told opposite things. We're being told men should be this and women should be this. Men should be more sensitive, women should be more stronger. Now we're playing each other's role, playing each other's parts. Now we're really confused. But to try to answer your question in somewhat of a nutshell, there's lack of understanding what masculinity is, not roles. What masculinity is, there's a lack of understanding what femininity is, and there's a lack of understanding and appreciation how those two entities marry each other. There's a phenomenal book that I started reading when I got divorced and I was trying to figure these things out. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by a guy named David Didia, I believe his last name is. The Way of the Superior Man is a book I've recommended to everybody on my team, everybody in my camp. And it talks about the polarity between masculine and feminine, right? Man has to show up in a certain way. A female has to show up in a certain way to have a healthy, thriving relationship. When either of those two poles are compromised, that's the beginning of the end. But it's up to the man to say, I'm going to show up this way, and I'm going to help you to show up your way. And it's up to the female to be able to say, thank you for helping me. I see what won't do. Okay, let's make adjustments, because the goal is the relationship. If you're in one, if you're in a healthy, thriving relationship, the goal is a relationship. The goal isn't, I want to be a bad bee. I want to be a bad bitch. The goal isn't, I'm the boss. I kick down the door. You make me a sandwich. I throw my feet anywhere I want. I mean, you could do that, but the goal is a healthy masculine and a healthy feminine married to each other to create the polarity that's not only good for the household, but thriving for the household, the kids, and the entire community. When you see a thriving married couple and you're like at the Starbucks or at the Barnes and Nobles or at a park, and you see people laughing, the kids are playing, running around the circles, you're like, man, that's what I'm talking about. Brightens up and enlivens everything. Everybody feels alive being around those people. You know, you may not understand exactly what's happening, but you know it when you see it. In a nutshell, that's what we're missing. The healthy understanding of a masculine, healthy understanding of feminine, and appreciation for how they marry each other instead of competing with each other.
And we have a few options for how we're going to go about the rest of the conversation, because you have the experience with the divorce, helping men, I'm sure, through that. I have worked with many people going through divorce, also sad, because it's like most of them are like, I didn't even see it coming. And one of the things that happens is that they reach a certain age, they feel like there's something else out there for them. It's like, oh, there's something else in the world. I want to try this. I think this is why so many older ladies are doing OnlyFans and stuff like that now, because they're trying to get validation somewhere, or they're trying to see what else is out there. That causes a ripple or a divide in the relationship, because now the man is like, I thought we were good. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I was doing everything that I was taught, pay all the bills, take care of the kids. And then now you don't feel satisfied. You don't feel happy. One of the things I tell men when they're going through this is like, hit the gym. And once they do that, everything changes, because now their mindset, their confidence, and then also a little bit of now this male is elevating himself among all the other males that this woman is, or the wife or the ex-wife or whatever, is seeing. Oh, wow, this is my husband. Look at him now. And so now it's like, what do I do? You have a choice now as a man, as a father, maybe. Do you take her back? What would you do in a situation like that?
Oh, that's a really good question. And that's a challenging scenario, because if you have kids involved, if this just happened, even if it was just like, even if the divorce / breakup was 6 months, even if it's 2-3 years down the line, there's still connection there. There's still some feeling there, most likely. That's a tough one. But if I was speaking to somebody like this, and if I was speaking to a man that was going through this situation, I would ask him 3 questions. My first question would be, maybe more, but 3 primary questions. My first question would be, before the divorce happened, were you paying attention to what was going on in your household, primarily with your wife? Because again, you and I were talking about a minute ago, the disconnection and how physical fitness is part of that disconnection. The man, he's getting divorced, now he's getting in the gym. Why wasn't he in the gym before? If he was in the gym before, he'd have been connected with his body. He'd have had more testosterone. He would have had more energy to bring to his wife, to his family. And also, If he's more connected with himself, he's most likely a little more connected to what's going on in his household, particularly what's going on with his wife. Because again, I feel that the weight of the responsibility of a healthy relationship lands on the masculine. Part of that is being able to see everyone. I would argue there's nothing that a woman wants more than to be seen by the man that she chose. So as best I can tell, I don't counsel women like this, so I could be wrong, but as best I can tell, part of women leaving is because they've got to a place where they say, like, he doesn't see me anymore and he hasn't seen me for a long time. Now there's distractions, there's social media and all this other stuff that tugs, that makes all these things harder, but that's the kind of the initial rift. He doesn't see me anymore. Right now, why isn't he seeing? Because he's paying the bills, he's running his business, or he's running around for the boss, or he's making sure the kids' soccer program is paid for. He has all kinds of stuff that he's going on, right? That's going on in his mind. But a man has to be able to like separate that and be able to drop down. Okay, this is here, and then drop down and be like, okay, my kids, look in their eyes. What do they need? Where they're at? My daughter, my son, my wife, look in her eyes. Where's she at? And when a woman feels seen, my feeling is when a woman feels seen, there's nowhere else she'd rather be. But if she doesn't feel seen, she doesn't feel safe, then she starts to figure out how she can protect herself. How can she do for herself? So that's the first thing I'd ask. Were you present with your family? The second thing I'd ask is, if you do take her back, what do you think will be different? Outside of you being different, is she different? Is she going to be more loving? Is she going to be more feminine? What was missing before from her that you weren't getting, that you wanted it to change, if anything? What's your new expectation of what will be different with? We know it's different with you now. What do you think will be different with her? And the third question would be, are you doing this for the kids, or are you going to do this for you and her? Because kids, okay, I can understand you want to have a cohesive household, everything like that. But there's going to be some point where the kids are gone, and you guys still need to be able to operate if you really want to do this, like for real, for real. If not, then if that third answer is, I'm doing it for the kids, but not as much for us, or something of that nature, then you might be doing it for the wrong reasons. Kids are a great reason. It does hold weight, but it can't be the only. And matter of fact, in my opinion, it can't even be the main thing. It's part of it, but going back to a relationship like that, just for the kids, that can't be the main thing. There's got to be more there to keep you there. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it is you do have to get clear with what you want. You have to look at your character. You have to look at the bigger picture. For me, when it comes to marriage, marriage is the best institution we have right now for raising a family. If you are a family man and you want to raise a traditional family as much as possible, you have to do everything to make that marriage work. If something happens, infidelity, breaking trust, instinctual divide, meaning the guy's not showing up, so she's not feeling safe and secure anymore, because that's her instinct, right? She looks for a male that she can feel safe and secure with, right? That's what they did in prehistoric times. They found the strongest males to be with so they could be protected. Today, we don't necessarily have as much need for protecting our ladies at every given moment, but still they have that instinct within them. Now, what I would say is, if you are not showing up as a male, you're not providing for your family, you are the issue. If you have to bow out and you say, I effed up, take that L and learn from it. You can become a better man for that. What I think would happen is you will be a better father. You will be a better co-parent, but it might not be the best relationship for you in the long term, because it's almost like, let's say there's a bond, right? Like a plate. A plate's the easy example. I throw it on the floor, breaks, I glue it together. The plate's not the same. And that can happen in a relationship when the trust is lost. The moment you lose trust, whether it be, again, infidelity, a separation, a divorce, it's like, how can I trust you again? Because I already trusted you once. And for me, I have a saying, fool me once, shame on you. You already fooled me once. You're not going to fool me again. It's just like one and done. I'm just a one and done type of guy. I'm going to give you my all. If you give me your all, we're going to make it work. But if you're going to feel wishy-washy in the middle, I can't have that. People on my team, people in my camp, it's 100%. We're going to go get it. It's not, I kind of feel like this. I'm very fortunate right now. I have a great wife, loving wife. I mean, I don't see any issues coming up in the near future, maybe even in the long future, but time is always different. And they always have that 7-year itch in marriage or something like that, where something happens and it's just like a test of marriage. And you have to ask yourself, are you stronger than the urges that you're going to be facing? Because as a male, we see a beautiful lady, we want to go chase after them, right? We're hunters. When we are now a family man, we're no longer hunting necessarily, but we should instead of hunting ladies, we should go hunt a bigger purpose, our mission, for example, start a business, create some meaning. You with training and helping men, that right there is going to give you a bigger purpose and mission in life versus going out getting a bunch of ladies. Because I know there's some guys who say, oh, I'm gonna get a bunch of girls and I'm gonna go party and do this. That's just a mentality that they have to go through.
Well, so yeah, but you hit on another big thing. That's part of that memo that I was saying earlier that did not get passed down. It didn't get passed down to me, and I think it missed a lot of men as well in our generation, or my generation. I think you're younger. And that is purpose.
I'm gonna stop you. How old are you?
45.
Oh yeah, okay. So you beat me by 10 years. I'm 35.
Okay, perfect. The idea of men having a purpose is something that we should have had from jump. That didn't occur to me until I started going through this process, like in the last maybe 6, maybe 7 years, maybe. Like the idea that I should have a purpose, right? And as I paid more attention to that, I started to understand just how vital that is to a man's life. Yes, when you have a purpose, it forces you, you start to filter everything through that. I'm a married man. I'm on my work. I got my work together. I got my kids together, my wife together. Will sleeping with this 27-year-old add to my purpose and take away from my purpose? It's not gonna, definitely not gonna add. Not only will it take away, it'll probably shatter everything and derail me for 5 to 10 years. Let's not do that. Even if you have all these other urges, and even if you just got in the biggest fight with your wife ever, if you are in a place where you can't rationalize respecting your marriage, the institution of marriage, respecting your family, if you're so down, if you're so far down, you can't rationalize that. I think men can get to a place where they can say, well, my purpose is here, God, whatever the case, right? Serving God, serving humanity, whatever the case. And this is way over there. There's no way there's any kind of alignment whatsoever. And it's going to kill my family. Yeah, but it's going to crumble my purpose. I might be able to build it back, but what's the point? I'm doing so good right now. Let me go back, go try to fix things with my wife, look my kids in the eye, tell them I apologize, whatever it is. There's L's that you take. You mentioned L's. There's L's that we take as men all the time. Most women don't know how many L's we took, especially if you're a good dude, you built yourself up. You've taken more L's. You've lost count. In the gym, people are talking crazy to you. You didn't check them. You let people get away with stuff. People stealing money from you. You've taken so many L's by the time you get to mid 30s, early 40s. And so in one way that kind of sucks, but in another way you get a perspective. And from those L's, you get to say, man, I lost a lot. I should have taken this fight on. But then your other ones, you say, I walked away from that and I did take an L. It was good that I walked away from that. That was a battle that I didn't have to fight. And as you kind of accumulate this wisdom, you can have a foresight. I think having foresight for men is natural. But when it kind of really kicks in at mid 30, like 30, 35, it kind of elevates a little bit. And you start to say, you can start to plan and make steps 5, 6, 7, 10 steps ahead. Be like, oh, you know what? If I take one step this way, 10 steps later, it's going to be this. Don't need that. You can see it, you can visualize it. You're like, I don't need it. That's a gift men have that I don't think we use it in business. We use it in partnerships. We need to use that more in our relationship, how we manage ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a masculine trait. And it's a good trait to have because we are trying to build something in our life. And that is what many men fail to do today. And the work that you do is helping men build that body and build that mind, because training is about mind too. I was in the gym this morning and I was like, is physical fitness all about the body or is it more about the mind? And I was just like going through that. And I was like, I think it's more about the mind than it is the body, because I was on the Stairmaster and I was doing my perfect tens and I was just like, this kind of sucks. But I was like, I'm not going to stop because my mind should be stronger than my body. Because if that's not the case, then my body will never be stronger than my mind, or at least try to be. We as men, we have to learn that our limits are not necessarily what we think only, right? We have to push past them. And I have found in my experience that in order for a man to succeed wildly in life, he needs another man. He needs someone to mentor him, coach him all the way through. It's just like when you're a teenager, it doesn't matter if you're a single mom and you have a son, that male that you're raising is going to look for another man to exemplify, good or bad. It doesn't matter. If he's a drug dealer, he's going to follow him. If he's a businessman, he's going to follow him. Why not put men like Jeremy in that teen's corner and saying, hey, let's get you on the right track from the jump, versus you have to go through all this trial and error. And I find that to be a detriment to most men because they get those L's for no reason and they could just have been on the right path, Now, again, wisdom is coming down from, an elder, someone who has done it already. And sometimes when you're a teen, you might like, I don't want to listen to this old man. I don't want to listen to this guy. I want to go live the world for yourself. There's some things you're going to have to experience for yourself, but then there's some aspects that you can avoid all in all. And for that, I want to kind of leave on a cliffhanger. You could definitely touch on it, but I want people to reach out to you, Jeremy. I want people to say, hey, I'm going through this. How can I start to elevate myself? So as we begin to wrap up, hit us with, your final thoughts on that, and then tell the audience where they can find you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I agree 1,000%. And here's what I teach. Here's my thoughts. My process has been this. Like I mentioned, you're an MMA fighter, right? When you train in mixed martial arts, you have a huge team, like say 30 people. But when you're getting ready for a fight, of those 30, a lot of them are outside your weight class and they're too big and a different experience, all this case. So you create a team within a team. You get like 7 guys, 7 guys, and you spar with them, groundwork them, you do your road work with them, whatever the case. And those guys kind of help you get ready for that particular fight. And when they fight, you do the same thing for them. You have a team within a team. And then when you go to the cage, you have an even smaller team. You have like maybe 3 guys, right? You have 3 coaches outside the cage, and then it's just you. But the cage is a metaphor for life. The only person that you're actually fighting is you. It's you versus you, your lower self versus your greater self. And the beast that wins is the one that you feed, is what I believe. But the aspect of the team is because when you have a team, like you said, I say every man should have at least 3, but preferably 5 guys. What I call ride or die, a big brother, a coach, a mentor, and a father figure. None of these people have to be blood related, by the way. They can all be people you choose and curate. But when you have these 5 guys that are part of your team, they give you a 360 perspective of your life, all the way around, up and down, where you're going to be, where you're at, what's around the corner. There's a lot that happens. They keep you out of negativity. They give you great feedback of your ideas, where your life path is. Does it have validity? Is it in alignment with who you are as they see you? They'll tell you when you're bullshit. They'll tell you when you're messing up. And they'll tell you that from every aspect of your life, your business, the women that you're dealing with, whatever the case. They'll keep you insulated from negativity, and they'll keep you on your path. They'll keep you, when you tell them, I'm trying to be this person, I want to do this thing, this is my new purpose, they'll say, all right, this is what you say, good. And then when you contact them, you ask them a question for them, they're going to match the 2. You're going to see, you say you want to do this, but you told me this is your purpose, and they don't line up. What's going on, right? Keep you on the straight and narrow. That's part of what I teach. I do have an online course that I launched. People can learn about it from my website. They can find me at www.jeremydmurphy.com/fightback. The course is called Fight Back. Fight is an acronym. Turn pain into purpose. People can also find me on Facebook. www.facebook, right? /Jeremy D. Murphy. LinkedIn, Jeremy D. Murphy. Also, my YouTube. My YouTube is Jeremy D. Murphy as well. But Facebook is the place where I spend the most time. And if you go to Facebook, I do have a program that I'm launching. 6 weeks, reclaim your masculine frame. You go to Facebook, add me as a friend. You send me the message frame. I'll send you the details about the 6-week men's group coaching program that I'm doing to help you reclaim your masculine frame.
And I'll definitely make it easy for everyone. All those links are going to be in the description box below. I encourage every male who's listening to sign up, follow Jeremy. If you are a woman who is listening, you have a son, if you have a husband that you want to pass this to, because again, this information is going to help build a man. This is not to hurt any relationship, hurt anyone. This is to help build. All right. So I want people to understand that we are full of love. We're full of sincerity. We want to see everyone prosper. And it doesn't have to be a simple notion of, all right, we're going to fight to take control. It's more of we're going to fight to have control over our body, our mind, and our actions. Because when we do that, we can make a huge change in the world. I want to thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming on, spending some time with us, and talking about your work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Michael, and your tribe and your team. Great conversation. Thank you.
All right, everyone. I would like to thank you so much for watching that interview with Jeremy Murphy and myself. As you can see, the interview, we were going in. There was no filter, even though we were still politically correct. We're not calling people out. We're just telling it how it is, telling it how we see. It could be difficult for men, especially, to say, you know what, I need some help. Hey, I've been there. What needs to happen is we need to think of it as, hey, I just broke my arm. I need to go to the hospital. All right. There's no more rubbing dirt on it or sucking it up. Hey, my arm is broken. I need to go get it fixed. If your life is malfunctioning, let's call it that, why not get it fixed? Why not get it remedied? I like to go to the doctor once a year to get my wellness check. Not that I need to go to the doctor and say, hey, am I okay? They're going to say, yeah, you're okay. I go to the gym, I work out, I eat good. But even then, I still go do the things that I have to do. Are you checking in is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have to be the doctor. It could be a coach. We talked about therapy a little bit. I don't think men need therapy most of the time, unless you were like severely abused as a child. But then again, if we look at the statistics, I mean, most men are just going to deal with it. Okay. They're just going to say, yeah, that was my problem. I'm going to deal with it. However, most men, when they have those problems of abuse or whatever, they tend to have negative outlooks because their perception is that. What we can do to fix that is, if you had a problem in your past, you don't want to go relive it. That's fine. I understand. But let's start to ask a deeper question now. What can I do to not relive that past and make it my present? That's going to be a tough question for people to understand, because the question is going to be, how can I be the man that I wish I was in the past? Or how can I be a better quality man today so maybe my children don't have to go through that, or someone else doesn't have to go through what I went through, that they can learn from it, or that they can feel that they're not alone. There are many aspects to how a man can help other men show up. Jeremy has a group where he helps men not only find other quality men, he helps men show up, find the mission, get the body right. Because again, the quickest way for a male to start to take more action, to get a positive mindset, is to look the part. Think of this saying, if you look like $1 million or something, you feel like $1 million. You get a nice suit, get a haircut, you start to get 6-pack abs, you get some muscles, you're looking good. And I even tell my clients who are, coming to me and they start to do the physical fitness stuff, and I see them maybe a couple months down the road, 3-4 months, and I go, whoa, you're looking great. And that's that confidence that they need. Now, guess what happens? It's just like, yeah, all these girls are coming after me now. It's like, because we elevated you just so slightly. It took 3 months only. And it's amazing how that happens. The mindset is something that can not only reflect on what we have inside of our mind, but what can also reside outside of our mind. So that means if I'm confident within me, the world is going to know that I'm confident. And it might seem like, it's such a huge jump from where I am. It's a journey, friend. No one said life is going to be easy. And if you're in a situation where you have severely hurt yourself and it's going to take years to fix it, start now. Start today. Because you have a choice. You could feel bad for the next 6 months and then you start to feel better and more confident. Or you could feel bad for the next 60 years. Or bad for the next 40 years, or however long you have left to live. I would choose to do the work in 6 months to 2 years, be exactly where I need to be, because you're going to find that you're more confident, more happy, more readily available, not only to your family, but to yourself. And then you're going to be showing up so much more in your life. And that is what we need in our world today. Not even only for men to show up, but ladies, you can learn to show up too in your life. You show up a little bit different than what I'm talking about today. This is an episode for men, but ladies, you can learn so much from this episode too, because we are talking about the masculine frame, not so much only physical fitness, but also on mindset. There's things that we must acknowledge. And then there's things that if they're happening in your relationship, you can see it as something that's going to be a problem later on. And when I coach women to find marriage, guess what? If a man does something wrong, I tell the woman to check the man, not in a way to belittle him, because there is a right way to speak to a man. Not saying, oh, you need to baby him. No. You don't do that. You just have to approach him in a different way. I can give you many examples of stuff that has happened in the coaching experience for women getting men and finding marriage and having a family. I can do that all day long. But the problem is what a man does might irk you, but you might not really see it. And Jeremy even kind of said it there. He's like, he did something and it was kind of off and she felt a certain type of way. That is what I'm talking about. If you feel that way, I encourage you to reach out to me, reach out to Jeremy, and we can give you the lowdown on what you need to do. So important. So this episode is not only for men, it's for women too, who are trying to get a better relationship, trying to find marriage, or just trying to enrich their men in their life. So what we are trying to do here in Coaching in Session is bring on wonderful coaches like Jeremy and try to repair or to fill in the divide that has happened through our society, our culture, and give people the opportunity to thrive instead of just survive. So if you are someone who's looking to enhance your current situation, the links are in the description box below, and we will see you on the side of greatness. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.